Hi everyone, Blitz of the Reich here, just doing a quick review on Dunkirk. I have my Mark II Brody helmet from 1940 and a British military raincoat from 1960. I like Dunkirk. It was a pretty good film. The soundtrack was pretty decent. It was eerily haunting. It was quite haunting in the background. I like the synthetic qualities of Hans Zimmer's soundtrack. However, I didn't find it too memorable compared to his other soundtracks. I can't remember any of the songs, maybe one, but it was still pretty good. I also don't mind Christopher Nolan's approach to a complex chronology. You have the week timeline for the soldiers, the day timeline for the civilian boat, and the hourly timeline for the RAF pilots. I actually thought that was okay. Some people had a bit of concerns with the confusion that led to, even though it's a little bit of a cliche for his films. You know, he does the same thing with Interstellar, Inception, with confusing timelines. So I guess that's his artistic quality, although it doesn't add too much for me, even though I'm fine with it. The visual quality of the film, the IMAX format, is absolutely stunning. It's breathtaking. The way the shots are filmed, the way that they were able to film in Dunkirk was absolutely stunning. And I think my favorite actors from the film were the old man from the boat and the RAF pilot, not Tom Hardy, the other one, because he actually gave a pretty good image of what a 1940s RAF pilot was. He gave that very stylistic in a way. Even though Tom Hardy was pretty okay. My concerns mainly are from the abysmal portrayal of dogfighting, where there's no really sense of desperation. This is a Hawker Hurricane Mark I, and this is an ME-109 E4 model. And in the film, when Hardy, even though he's on a Spitfire, he's behind the ME-109, they sort of just like glide like this. You don't really see any evasive maneuvers like the split ass or the Immelman or high yo-yos and whatnot. And I was a bit annoyed because it just didn't feel real. The level of desperation was lacking there in the dogfightings, even though I felt the scenes were pretty stunning in terms of contrast, brightness, everything like that. Now, I'm gonna go all over the place, by the way. In the boat, the civilian boat, it was a bit weird how the boy died, George. It felt like they didn't really react. They were quite stoic to his death, and I guess the father, the old man, as I call him, was used to death because he lost his son, and he didn't want to freak out the shell-shocked soldier, Cillian Murphy. But I still feel like there could have been a bit more done to convey some emotion. Like, you don't have to freak out when someone dies, but you should still have a more sharply distinctive emotional face that you kind of put like a deep breath, you know. That doesn't really convey any nervousness to Cillian Murphy because he's on the other side of the ship. You wouldn't be able to hear that. Now with Cillian Murphy, I didn't find I found him to be quite contemplative. Not necessarily a shell-shocked soldier. It didn't seem like he was blinded. Like you see, for example, in the 5-minute tracking shot scene of Atonement, there's this shell-shocked soldier next to a car. You really see that sense of blind daze, where you're not really thinking about anything. And in Atonement, I feel like Cillian Murphy seems to be thinking too much. And the way he reacts when he's initially on the sunken transport ship, sort of resembles like a angry teenager. Like they pass him the rope and he just ignores it, ignore it. And he doesn't really have that shaky aspect of shell-shocked soldiers that you normally see exhibited. And I can tell you, I can sort of relate because I've been in those situations where I've actually seen people dying. It gives you a different emotional response, even though you don't really freak out initially, because your brain's sort of processing things. But it's the fact that in these scenes, it feels like people aren't really processing, because when you're processing things in your mind, you're in a confused state, like, what the hell happened? But I'll let it slide, because the ship captain, the old man, the father, he was a very good actor, and so was his son, and I like the little chemistry, mainly with the old man. He was a very good actor. I don't know the actor's name particularly. I'm not a film critic, so to speak. I also had concerns with how they weirdly portrayed the Dunkirk perimeter in order to give a sense of claustrophobia, even though the perimeter was not even in Dunkirk. It was like 10 miles south of Dunkirk or something like that. And how the admiral, I believe he was an admiral, could pretty much see the German lines. When they tried to get into that, like, tugboat, the little Harry Styles tried to get into the tugboat, he could see the tugboat. But the thing is, Dunkirk perimeter was 50 kilometers wide, and obviously got reduced as time went on. But, like, for example, it went all the way to Belgium and didn't really get reduced from Belgium until, like, June the 1st. So it seems quite improbable that he would have been able to see the German lines so close like that. Also, regarding air combat, Tom Hardy's scene where he stalls and shoot downs with Ju-87, I thought that was a bit ridiculous. I don't think I need to explain why. He was in low altitude, stalling for 5 to 10 minutes. Crazy. He lands on a beach with his gears. It's insane, I think. And the fact is, there's a lack of imperfection in his character. He manages to shoot down multiple aircraft in the nick of time. It just seems like a little bit of cliche when the Heinkel bomber comes back. He's able to shoot him just in time. It just doesn't convey a sense of reality, because soldiers in real life, they commit mistakes. They don't always get what they want. Now, I want to quickly talk about the robotic behavior in the beach. I think the beach, the shots with the Ju-87s coming in are brilliantly done. Really claustrophobic, haunting, but I feel the soldiers are a bit robotic. They're kind of in lines. There's no garbage anywhere, no heavy machinery being abandoned. Compare this to the 5-minute tracking shot of Atonement, where there are horses being killed, soldiers on merry-go-rounds because they're bored, because they were waiting over a week, and soldiers get bored, they get drunk. Shows that human dimension, because half the time when you're in the military fighting, and I know this because of a lot of interviews, soldiers aren't doing crap, like in Jarhead. So there's that sense of robotic nature. The soldiers seem to be in the same spot for over a week, just waiting and waiting and waiting. And the fact is, the main cast, people complain about ethnic diversity. I think that's not really warranted. This was mainly a battle, Europeans fighting Europeans. Even though there's shots of African colonial soldiers in the French army, which is accurate, I think. Definitely accurate. What I mean by diversity is there's a lack of different types of people, different shapes. Like in Atonement, when they're singing the hymn, Dear Lord, Father and Lord Mankind, or Dear Lord and Father Mankind, whatever, you see a little bit of a chubby soldier, you see an old man, you see a guy in his mid-40s, a 30-year-old, a 20-year-old, 17-year-old. You see a bit of mix to sort of portray a mix in the British population, even though in real life, usually soldiers above 50 didn't really serve in combat. But in Atonement, it just seems like excessively, I don't want to say handsome, but supermodel quality people. Those are the only people that really fought. The 3 main characters look unscathed. They don't have any blood anywhere, any bandages, and just feels like they die, that they all survive and everything's hunky-dory. The only one to die is the French guy, and even he seems to die a very mystical, idealized death that I felt took away from that. So that's really my problem. That's why I'm touching this a lot. You don't really see many wounded soldiers standing. They're all just like the ones that are like laying dead, and I think that's something that Atonement captures really well. Atonement has soldiers that are still standing, bandaged with scars everywhere, with oil running. It just has this sense of depravity and chaos, that they don't have time to clean themselves. They don't have time to shower. And in Dunkirk, they're all just too perfect. It just seems like everything works out for the British. It doesn't feel like they're actually soldiers. It seems that they have time to shower. Seems that they're just like robots waiting on the beach efficiently. Whereas in Atonement, at least, we get soldiers really acting like humans, bored. And the fact that the main character of Dunkirk in the beginning, in Dunkirk itself, his whole squadron dies, and he seems to not really react. Some people say that soldiers are really trained to react that way, but still, a soldier will have a sort of emotional response. You could see this with the POV footages of Afghanistan. Soldiers can have a bit of an adrenaline rush, and there'll still be a bit of a backlash, an emotional backlash. It just seems like I can picture myself jogging, and I'll make the same emotive response that he made after he passed the French line and headed toward the beach, the mole. So that was a bit... overall, I like the casting and the acting of the people on the civilian boat and the RAF pilots. Even Tom Hardy, he wasn't bad. I like their casting much more than I liked the Harry Styles and the people on the beach. I feel like they were more convincing. They had more of that style, that 1940s style that works quite well. I think that's part of the reason that where the movie got ruined for me. Harry Styles, not necessarily him, but the trifecta, the trio, all of them. It just seemed a bit too stoic, even for soldiers. They seemed a bit too stoic, robotic. That's really my own concern. Okay, guys, so this is just what I think about the movie Dunkirk. I kind of liked it. I initially C+ or B-, probably leaning toward a B- because the visuals really do overcompensate for the lack of in other areas of the film. Please tell me in the comments below what you guys think. Did you like it? Did you not? Why? Do you agree with my review? And hope you guys do not take too much offense to this review, because I'm not bashing. I'm not trying to come at this film from an angle of Christopher Nolan's directorial history. I'm trying to just see this film for itself, warts and all, without any outside bias or outside influence that could change my opinion. Anyways, thank you for watching, and see you next time.